what are some things you are excited about, Dan, on the horizon for 2026?
I'm looking forward to seeing some kind of clarity that people can anchor their business plan to.
I'm not even going to weigh in on that one. I'm not. That felt so uplifting.
I asked Dan that question and not Paul.
You're listening to The Freight Break on the BCS Freight Network with your hosts, Josh Haynes and Paul Gibson.
All right, you're listening to The Freight Break. How's it going, Josh?
It's going good. I am back in Kansas City. How are you doing?
Oh, good. You know, I was in Las Vegas, then you were in Laredo, and now we're back home. Yeah, so I don't think we're leaving again till Matt's at the end of March.
Louisville, Kentucky. It's I'd say it's got my heart, but it doesn't have my heart, but it does have my heart. We've been there a bunch of times. I love Louisville.
Oh yeah, Matt's is always great. And then after that is the Cross Border Summit in Kansas City.
Yeah, we've got a packed year, a lot of things coming up. All the things, make sure you guys check bcsfreightnetwork.com for any events coming up. If you want to be a sponsor and you want to be on our screen, please contact us. You know, we could be talking about you. We'll have all that stuff in the description below, all the good things.
Or, you know, not to get ahead of ourselves, and there'll be more stuff that comes out about it later this year, because this year is going to be stacked with huge stuff from the BCS. But we could even come to you to make an ad. I don't know if you know this, but we both film professionally. And yeah, we could even do that. And then you could show it there. You could show it at the BCS. You can take that ad, you put it on the internet, do whatever you want with it, but also sponsor our podcast. But to find out more about the Cross Border Connect, which is an interesting experiment, kind of like the initial BCS was an experiment. You know, nobody knew how it was going to go, you know, especially with tensions, geopolitics, all of that stuff, tariffs, etc. You know, cross border seemed scary. It seems a lot of things if you don't know anything about it. So to find out how it went, you know, we'll talk to Josh, but also let's bring on Dan. How's it going, Dan?
Hey, good, man. How are you?
Oh, doing good. Glad you didn't do it in Mexico, and glad you did it the week you did it and not after.
Yeah, the timing and the location change was definitely fortuitous. It was definitely the right call, I think, to move it forward a couple of days as well as move it stateside.
Yeah. No, that worked out great. I'm glad you guys are safe, and hopefully everybody that was there is safe. But yeah, so you know, the whole idea of the Broker Carrier Summit, you know, you're like, oh well, you know, hey, why don't we take some brokers? Why don't we take some carriers? Why don't we just shove them in the same room and see what happens? No one's done that before, you know. And so in the same spirit, it seems like, you know, it was low key. It wasn't, you know, super high production. But it was just the idea, just to see, you know, what it was like. Was there an interest in cross-border freight? And having seen the BCS go from what it did to where it's at now, how do you feel it went?
I feel fantastic about the way it went. There was definite BCS vibes in the room. One of the things that we've done, and this is one of the most humbling parts about what we're building at BCS, is everything that we've done from the beginning has been something that the marketplace has in some way asked us to do. So, and this cross-border connector event is another example, the most recent example of that. We had people come up to us at our Tampa Summit in 2023 and say, hey, I run cross-border freight. Do you have any events that we should go to? And I had to say no, because I didn't know if there were any events focusing on cross-border freight. Fast forward to Kansas City and Fort Worth in 2024, the same group of individuals said, hey, we really need something for cross-border. Can you put it together? And so we started talking about it last year. We got some partners on board. Huge thanks to our sponsors, Cargado, Werner, and RTS. For helping make this possible, this initial cross-border connector possible. But again, the marketplace asked us to do this, and we delivered. I say that humbly. We delivered. We were expecting around 100 and 125 people in the room. We actually had almost 170 people attend. many of whom, and this was the shocking part for me, and Josh, I know you were there. I don't know if you heard this as well. Many of the people in the room uh, did not know a lot about cross-border, and they were coming to learn how to do cross-border freight.
Myself included, I did not know much about cross border.
Right. Yes. Josh has never endeavored to cross-border logistics. But that was shocking to me because I figured, oh, we're doing a very niche event in the freight industry. I expected the people who were neck deep in that niche to be the ones who were most interested. What we found is a lot of those people were interested and they came. But also the ones who have been trying to break into that niche for a while or learning about it and trying to see whether or not they should incorporate that into their business, they were the ones who were not only present, but they were one of the most active when it came to asking questions and engaging with other people. So that was really exciting to see.
Yeah, that's going to be the next thing that I asked, both of you guys is like, I mean, I know that, Dan, I don't know your, like all of your history in transportation. Josh, I know yours, but like, how much stuff did you guys learn about cross-border freight while you were there?
Everything that was talked about was something that I learned. I made no bones about it. In fact, when I got up to welcome everybody at the beginning of the event, one of the first things I said was, I have moved a total of 3 cross-border loads into or out of Mexico in my entire career. I have a lot of experience moving loads from the U.S. into Canada, but I have not navigated cross-border logistics when it comes to the Mexican border literally at all. So I'm not the expert in the room. And again, that's, I think, one of the appeals of the BCS is that it's not this cult of personality. We're not rallying around one individual or one entity. There's a humility in leadership that demands that you admit when you're not the guy or the girl. I think if you embrace that as a leader, you actually empower your team and your community to do more than you would otherwise. So I came up and said, look, I haven't moved many cross-border loads. I'm here just like you are to learn how we can make the industry better in this way. So I learned a lot.
I do agree that there's a lot of people that was in that room that it caught me off guard, like you were saying, Dan, that has not been involved in cross-border or are very new to it, naive, myself included. The most I know about cross-border is, I don't know, buying clothes that are apparently made in Mexico that I didn't know was made in Mexico. And, that's about my extent of it. I do want to take it back, though, to the beginning because it was incredible. You got up on stage and you said, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of what I think is the only time we're ever going to see something like that small. I do think it is going to continue to grow, whether it's exactly like that or something different, especially because there was so many people there that were new to it. And I agree. And everyone in that room seemed like they were okay with being naive and just blindly going in and having conversations and learning about it.
They were super comfortable, and I know I've had some conversations internally with the team. I kind of took the cross-border connector and I ran it myself. One of the main reasons why I wanted to do that is because I needed to see if this was going to follow the course of the BCS. And in order to do that, it had to be super low key. It had to be, there was some marketing that we did. We did advertise. We sent a bunch of emails out and social posts out. But I wanted to see if the industry adopted it. And so we set it up nearly exactly the same way as the first BCS, with the exception of we added a really cool welcome party by Cargado the night before. But the flow and the format and the tempo really of the main day was nearly an exact mirror of the first BCS in Indianapolis when we had 35 people in the room. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to see if the response would be the same. And so at the end of the day, at the end of the connector, I asked three crucial questions. Well, 2 crucial questions and then one that we'll find out whether it was crucial or not. One is, did you get value out of this? Nearly every hand went up. Second question, if we did this again, would you show up again? Nearly every hand went up. And then I asked the question, if we did this in Mexico, would you come? About half of the hands went up, 60%. I think if I asked that this week, a lot fewer hands would go up, but we're going to see. We'll find out.
I do want to ask, do you think, and I think I know the answer to this, do you think everyone that was there, do you think majority of people were going there to learn, network, or close deals? What do you think was the top thing that people were going there for?
I think networking. I think networking was the top, and the reason why I say that is because every time we had a session start, there was about 5 to 12 minutes of us getting up on the stage and saying, "Hey, can everybody please take their seats? Hey, we love the fact that you're having conversations. Can you take the conversations outside so we can get started? We do have an agenda." But honestly, that didn't bother me. It didn't bother any of the speakers because I leaned over to Brent Huto, and he was one of the ones who was up there for the final panel. I was like, you know what? I'm not mad about them talking and continuing their conversations. And he looked at me and he goes, "No, that's why they're here."
Yeah, we wound up actually cutting it just a little bit short because there was so much networking going on. And I think that was the right call, especially because I do think the networking is tied to deals and learning. Like those are, a repercussion of networking. And I think we saw that firsthand in that, which was really cool to see because it was such an intimate setting compared to where BCS is now. And that's not to say that the BCS summits now aren't still very intimate and that you can't have that networking and stuff, but it is a lot bigger. So there's more people to talk to, where this was so ground level that it was, I don't think a whole lot of people left without talking to at least 80% of everyone that was in that room.
Oh, whenever I would walk, so one of the things I do this at BCS too. So if you see me doing this at BCS, you know exactly what I'm doing. I will just walk around and I will see who's talking to who. And one of the things that I'm looking for is and one of the good things about BCS is our shows are still intimate enough and the size to where I can walk around and pretty much see nearly everybody who's at the event. One of the things I'm looking for is, are these people talking to the same people all day, every day, or are they jumping around? Are they working in the room? I saw a lot of people working in the room and trying to figure out additional partners, trying to learn about what person over here does, what person over here does. So it was really good conversation, really good engagement. I saw people doing what looked like doing deals, or at least talking in depth about freight within 30 minutes of us kicking it off. And they weren't even in the first session. They were actually outside going through something pretty intense. So I don't know what that was about, but it seems like they were actually transacting business. So
well, and I think that's huge. I mean, compared to like a lot of other, conferences that you go to, like, so for instance, with my recruiting background, you go to a recruiting conference, or like, marketing and stuff like that, to try to like get better at, recruiting marketing. What happens is then you have to wait to go home to implement those things that you learned. And the cool thing I think about the BCS, especially in this, it's the same idea, is that, if I'm a carrier and I'm interested in cross-border, or I'm a carrier and I just learned something about brokerage or technology, I've got those people right there. I can talk to them. Not only can I learn more and get my questions answered that I wouldn't be able to do in like a session format, I also, on top of that, now have a connection that I can rely on and a resource to learn about that as I go. Any questions I have, like next week, I can hit them up on LinkedIn or something and be like, "Hey, we talked, like, what about this?" And also you have the ability to, you have decision makers there, so you can already make it happen in real life like that. You don't have to wait till you get back or go find somebody. Everything you need to learn, everything you need to grow, everything you need to actually start making money and implement stuff is all right there in the room.
Right. Well, and one of the things that we do, not just at the Cross Border Connector, but also at the Broker Carrier Summit, is we encourage conversation. We actually, as far as events go, we give up a lot of control when it comes to the stage. When we emphasize conversation over presentation, interaction and engagement versus a lot of 45-minute to an hour long keynote sessions or lectures. We encourage and foster that kind of interaction, and that does it gives up a lot of control on our part because we don't control the flow or the conversation. But what that does is it actually encourages people to make their voice heard, and that does inspire and encourage conversations after the sessions, because people will always leave a session and have questions for the speaker because they're the ones who spoke. But if somebody, a broker or a carrier, says something over here that resonates with you as a broker or a carrier, you don't have to only go to the speaker now to get that question answered or to interact with that conversation. You can go to this person over here who said it, who brought it up, or this group of people over here who is saying the same thing, and maybe you got into a little bit of a disagreement or a discussion or a debate in the middle of the session. You can go over to that group of individuals and continue that conversation without having to wait in a long queue or a line for the speaker. So.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing too, is like you look at a lot of other conferences and they're all, well, we have, they're sponsors obviously, but like us is like the BCS and the cross-border connect, there isn't like a specific product that's directly backed, if that makes sense. So like, for instance, if you go to an Adobe conference, like that's an Adobe, like you're going to hear a bunch of like Adobe stuff, and it's all going to be seen through that lens, or like a particular product. We don't have a particular product. It's literally the lens is of the industry in that space. So it's like it's not guided, and there's so much, like to your talk of like giving up control. It's the lens, I think, is just what's awesome, is that you see everything. It's not guided towards like, hey, also, you should buy this BCS product.
Right. Exactly. Well, and one of the things, again, that we're super intentional about communicating that. Our Loaded and Rolling party in Orlando was a classic example of that. We made the star of the show the attendees because they are the focus. They are the stars of the industry. And I think a lot of times that gets missed, that gets lost. And we want to show that that we appreciate the work and the sacrifice and the labor that everyone in this industry does on a day-to-day basis, and basically say, we'll turn the cameras on you because you are the rock stars of the industry. This is not the Dan Lindsey show by any stretch of the imagination. I wouldn't go to hear myself speak for 8 hours. I surely wouldn't pay to go see myself speak for 8 hours. But this is about advancing the industry, and in order to advance the industry, we need to hear from as many voices in the industry as we can. And so that's the whole idea. That's the whole game.
Yeah, I still have people walking up to me at events that I've never met, being like, "Oh man, that solo was so good," and I'm like,
"Dude, it did. It's what do the kids say? It slapped."
It slapped. No, I think we're too old for that.
Can I not say that?
Fire, 6, 7. I don't know. They're saying something like that. I don't know. I do like that. What you're saying, we do tend to keep it towards the people, and how Paul was saying, it's like if you go to a conference and it's geared towards one thing and it is a product, odds are you're going to walk away hearing about that product. And it may be that you signed up for that. That's fine. But that was the first thing I noticed when I came to the BCS team, was the product was what moved the industry forward. I had not been to a conference like that before, where it was geared towards the networking, the growing, helping all parts of the industry because it is intertwined together. I mean, even at the cross border, I was standing outside on the end of the last day there, and there was a guy that was all the way from California. He has been in the industry for 3 months, and he was already coming to the cross border. Heard it through the grapevine. Really nice guy. And I was like, listen, if you're here for this, you definitely need to check out the BCS, the summits we're going to have. And he's like, well, I heard about the Orlando one. I was like, we got one coming up Kansas City. Gave him all the information. Super great guy. And I had no problem telling him about this conference coming because I knew he was going to leave with value, where I'm worried sometimes when someone comes to Kansas City and I'm like, hey, go to this restaurant. It's fantastic. Well, what if they go and it's not great? I wasn't worried to tell him about the summit coming up because I knew in some way, shape, or form, he is going to leave with value because that is one of our core values. And that's not really like hyping ourselves up. It's just that's what we want to see because we know that's what the industry needs to move forward.
Yeah. And if there's, I'll say, if there's one thing that we are quote unquote selling, it's the value of trusted partnerships. And again, the BCS is not the, I say this all the time, the BCS is not the solution to that, but we do facilitate that, the solution. The solution is getting people in the same room on the same page for the same reason. And we do that better than anybody else, I believe. And I think we're still the only ones to do it in this way, in bringing all sides of the industry together, all stakeholders, and saying, hey, get in the room. These people are worth talking to. Have a conversation, do some business, and let's grow your business. Let's grow the idea of trust founded partnerships, and let's move the industry forward.
Well, yeah, and it stops those ideas from existing in a vacuum. Because you get a bunch of carriers together, and there might be a problem that it causes for brokers or for somebody else in the industry, and they don't acknowledge that, or it might be a bunch of brokers get together and they're not acknowledging an issue that a carrier has. Like, because of that, all these ideas and these concepts that are being presented don't get to exist in a vacuum, and you have the people on every side of like the end user, there isn't an effect of anything that you can overlook. So it also like promotes solutions because all of the problems are, completely in the light.
Correct. 100%.
After being at the cross border, I am very optimistic. Leaving there, where freight is, where it's going. It could just be that it was just a great conference, and I met a lot of awesome people, and that's where I'm at. And the industry's still on fire. Who knows? Ask Paul about that; he'll let you know. But
it is.
I am excited for where 2026 is going. What is quickly, and we'll just touch on it. We won't dive in it too deep. What are some things you are excited about, Dan, on the horizon for 2026? Whether it's BCS, the freight industry in general, what are your thoughts? What are you excited about for 2026 coming up in the freight industry?
Well, I'll start with what I'm excited about for the industry when it comes to BCS. I see the momentum that we have going into 2026, and I see it continuing to grow. So that's exciting. I see every week, it seems, I get either an email or a text message, or I bump into somebody who has said, hey, thank you for what you're doing at BCS. This is how it has impacted me. We were at Manifest 2 weeks ago. I sat down for 30 minutes talking with an old friend who I hadn't seen since the Kansas City 2024 summit. And he was telling me all about how the BCS has changed the way they operate with their carriers, and how it's done great things for their business. And so that's really encouraging because I'm excited to see the right companies doing the right things winning. That's what I'm excited about. One of the things we say all the time is all the bad actors get all the good press. We could go out there and we could just start, talking, and throwing shade at all the people who are doing things that are unethical or illegal or whatever. All that does is it gives them more outsized attention. What I'm excited about doing is highlighting the people and the companies who are doing things well. In so doing that, we raise the standard of operations in the industry so that everybody starts to assume that operating at this level is the norm as opposed to operating down here. And I think we're doing a good job of moving the needle. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that, not just in the BCS, but industry-wide. One thing I hope to see this year, which we haven't seen in a long time, it feels like in this industry, is some kind of clarity on what we can expect in the coming months. And that could be with respect to tariffs, overall economic environment, the freight markets in general. whatever it might, regulations. I'm looking forward to seeing some kind of clarity that people can anchor their business plan to for longer than a quarter. That's what I'm hoping to see.
I'm not even going to weigh in on that one. I'm not. That felt so uplifting that I am not.
I was waiting to see devil's advocate, Paul.
I love that you also made it about quarter. Like, yeah, this quarter is this quarter. Yeah. Oh, cool.
That's why I asked Dan that question and not Paul, because I knew what Paul was going to be.
Right. Well, you know me. I'm in the something dramatic has to change, and I think a lot of this, is a change in perspective, and things can't change unless you change the way you go about them. And I think that this plays a role in doing that, and that's why I love it. That's why, despite my negative take on the market, it was like, yeah, I'll come to BCS. Changing employers, when you have like 2008 level layoffs, like that seems like a terrible plan, but here I am because I believe in it. Yeah, and the other cool thing that we are going to start doing, and it should start dropping soon, is we are actually going to start doing long form interviews with people to build resources in the industry. So we're going to start doing long form interviews with different people to actually highlight them within the BCS Freight Network. Our first one's going to be Matt Silver. Then we have Ryan Joyce, and we're going to start continually doing it. Over the year, we're going to ramp up more on the media side to also be pushing that in between conferences. So I love that it's actually turning into like a full scale thing.
Yeah, I'd say there are so many things that I'm excited about, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, that we have going on behind the scenes that I literally cannot say anything about because I'll have every single one of you knocking on my door just waiting to kill me. But I'm really excited for what we have coming out later on this year, especially when it comes to content and just and again highlighting the individuals and companies that need to be highlighted.
I do think that kind of stuff will drown out the bad people, is highlighting more people in the industry that are the good ones that actually are there to help to grow the industry and things like that. Something we can talk about that's coming up quickly before we know it is BCS here in Kansas City, April 28th through the 29th. That is going to be here before we know it. Our team is not frantically, but just we got some purpose behind us. We're preparing, Dan knows. Look at him. Look at his face, man. He had hair last week, and now he doesn't because we're preparing for it.
I will say this, though. I'm super excited about Kansas City for a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest personal reasons why I'm excited for Kansas City is because we have a full team now who is firing on all cylinders. We are more prepared for the BCS Kansas City than we have been earlier than we have been for any other event, and the margin is not even close. Whether it's getting things into production, whether it's coordination of breakout sessions, speakers, keynotes, all that, or locking down contracts for venues, whatever it might be, this is by far the most organized that we have been as a company. And I've largely I'm not going to say I sat back and watched all of you do it, because I've been very involved, but I've not been the one having to do a lot of the execution because we have the best team in the industry to work on these things. So I'm excited about it.
You could have just said you were excited for the barbecue in Kansas City and everyone would have understood. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at Paul's face.
I'm excited for the barbecue in Kansas City. I'm excited for the barbecue in Kansas City. I'm excited for the barbecue in Dallas in the fall. And hey, KC and Dallas, bring your best barbecue, and we'll find out which one I'm more excited about.
Listen, we can't lose when there's good food in all these places. And you are correct. Kansas City, then we're going to Dallas not long after in the fall. Exciting things happening. Paul, are we missing anything that we want to talk to Dan about? Raises,
That might be, that's it, yeah.
Conversation for another time.
Yeah, I just gave the equivalent of a raise by all my glowing comments, right? When was the last time you got glowing comments from your boss?
I'm going to call the places that's got bills and be like, hey, I just got glowing review. So they'll be like, hey,
do it for exposure.
Hey, open up an account on Yelp. I'll give you 5 stars.
So I will say this. This is the first episode we've had that nobody's brought up AI in a while. So I just had to say AI. But also, like, when it comes to AI, Dan keeping his his lips shut there. We're not developing an AI, but like
I don't, Josh. I don't know what he's talking about. Do you know what he's talking about?
I do, but I don't, and it terrifies me when Paul just leans into the camera and says something like that. Exciting things are coming. I know that.
Are we working on some weird bot in the background that I don't know about?
I am the weird bot in the background. No,
that makes sense. Hey, on that note, though, on the AI note, one thing about Kansas City. So this is something that you will not find, that to my knowledge, and I've been to many of these events, you will not find this at any other conference than the BCS. In Kansas City, we are going to have a couple of sessions focused around AI. But here is the difference. Here is the distinction.
Okay, I was like, because that's not.
Okay. We're going to teach you how the hell to use it. Okay, because a lot of these conferences, a lot of these events, people will come back to a company and they'll buy this new tool, or they'll buy this new suite of tools, and they'll roll it out to their company. And then the guy or the gal who's on the line trying to book freight or trying to do whatever, they have no idea how to program this thing, how to use this thing, how it can maximally benefit them. We have sessions that are specifically designed to give practical advice on interacting with these tools from an operator level. So if you're an operator or a manager and you are looking to figure out how in the world you can implement these tools in your company, it's going to maximize return, minimize frustration, and if you're like me, make you feel less old than you actually are, then this would be a fantastic opportunity for you to come and just dive in deep with people who can actually help you navigate the usage of these tools, because they're not going away. Everybody says that. It's annoying, but they're not going away. So we might as well figure out how to use them to our maximum benefit. So that's a big point that I want to point out for Kansas City.
No, I do agree with you, Dan. I think AI is a tool. It's there to help. It does not fix all your problems, just like exposure doesn't pay your bills, but it will help you get jobs to make it easier. Thanks so much, Dan, for being on the show. It's like coming home to your long lost child anytime you're on here, and it
appreciate
like
it, Dad.
It doesn't burn down, so.
Oh wait, I'm Dad. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for taking care of the freight break for me. I left it in very good hands, so I'm excited for what you guys are building.
We're still getting comfortable. It might get weird. You might hate it later, but for now, it is what it is, and it hasn't burned down yet.
See you next time.
You've been listening to the Freight Break on the BCS Freight Network. And now, you're not.